Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 5 of the Nord and Block podcast. It is Tuesday, February 13th, 2024. I am your host here, Nordic97, joined with my co-host, LeBlock James. How are we doing?
We're doing pretty good. We're doing pretty good.
So, we're going to get straight into it here because there was something that happened on Saturday that LeBlock has a lot of words to say. So, for those who didn't watch it, and for those who weren't there, LeBlock was there, in fact. On Saturday, this last week, Senators forward Ridley Gregg took a slap shot into the empty net to make it a 5-3 game.
Yes.
5-3?
5-3.
5-3 game. Took a slap shot into the empty net. And Morgan Rielly, very clearly, what we can all agree with is that he did not like that. And he cross-checked Ridley Gregg in the face a couple of times. And as of right now, he is getting a hearing to be suspended. Now, we don't know how many games it's going to be. There is the option that there is possibly going to be 5 or more games. We're going to find out. But as of right now, we're kind of in the dark with that. We will know by the time this podcast is posted, we will know what the suspension is. But as of right now, we don't know. So before I give my thoughts, because my thoughts are definitely not as long as LeBloc's, I'm going to go to LeBlock and let him just talk. Go ahead, LeBlock.
Well, we could tell that Morgan Rielly is going to cost his team in the long run because this play shouldn't have happened. There's no excuse for targeting the head, the face with your stick. Doesn't matter what happens. Using your stick as a weapon is always a huge no-no. Huge no-no. And I honestly believe that I think Ridley Gregg, I don't think he's innocent, but I don't think he did anything wrong. Like, he clapped it from 10 feet out. Maybe Rielly should have been back checked harder. Maybe at least should have focused on scoring more goals. They got outplayed. I'd be more concerned about the loss than an empty net goal. And then going after a defenseless player at the end of said empty net goal is just cowardly, in my opinion. It's just, and people, Leaf fans specifically, trying to defend Rielly, saying, "Oh, well, he deserved it. Oh, well, I don't see what he did wrong." Well, clearly, and there's still this code. We call it the code. I'll be honest. I think any code, I don't believe. I played hockey for more than 10 years. I don't believe in the code. I don't believe in the code. I've always thought the code was stupid. The code was always you fight willing combatants and you stand up for your team, but you also don't go for dirty cheap shots after plays. So Rielly, unlike Gregg may have broken the code, but Rielly broke an actual rule, a written rule. And I think anyone who's defending Rielly, saying, "Oh, he should be a fine or a two game suspension," I just think you're kind of out of touch. Like, I think Rielly deserves a lengthy 5+ game suspension. This is not, the NHL is trying to crack down on hits to the head, and this is definitely not serving him well, especially because this hit was also at the end of the game. If this happened like in the beginning of the third period, and that hit happens, you can maybe say, "Oh, maybe it's like 3 game suspension because it's hit to the head." But it's happened at the end of the game when everything is said and done. The NHL takes that into account, and also he could have broken his neck on that play.
He could have. He absolutely could have. Well, is it my turn? Are you done talking?
For now, yeah.
Well, okay. So here's my thought process on it, and it's been a couple of days, so I have had plenty of thoughts on what I've seen from the hit and stuff. I understand where some players are coming from, saying that, "Oh, it's the code, it's an appropriate response," but it's not. But it's not the 1980s anymore. It's not the 70s anymore. If that happened in the 70s, we wouldn't be having much of a discussion with this because it was a different freaking era of hockey. As a Flyers fan, I know because my Flyers kind of started that era of hockey.
Broad Street Bullies, yeah.
Yeah, the Broad Street Bullies kind of started that era of hockey. With this, and I understand that, Evander Kane, Sheldon Keefe, Morgan Rielly, these guys are from a different era. Ridley Gregg, his first season in the NHL. So that's a fact. obviously, Rielly, Kane, these guys were in the league 10 years ago. They were. They were young in the league 10 years ago. And understandably, if they did that 10 years ago, something similar or the same thing would have happened. Just no denying it. But it's not that NHL anymore. Yeah, it's the code, but it's not that NHL anymore. It's not the NHL where things like that would fly. As you said, the NHL is cracking down on the hits to the head and all that stuff, especially too since it was after a goal, after a whistle. It's going to be more than 5.
Mm-hmm.
There's no doubt. If it was during a play, I maybe less, but like still, it's they're still trying to crack down on it. It's not the old NHL that it once was. So I honestly think that a suspension's justified, and you're playing a game that is professional. That, in my eyes, is not professional.
It's not a hockey play. That's for damn sure. Like, that's not a hockey play at all.
Not in today's NHL, at least.
Today's NHL.
No.
And I just want to get back to like Reeves. Reeves, like, I'm from a different era of hockey. Reeves acted like his rookie season was 1974. Saying how I get, and I don't know why the media's asking other teams about this. Like, oh, did you see what happened? Like, and I like what Rick Bowness had to say. It's like, hey, like, to sum it up, we don't I don't like putting teams on blast. I don't like other teams putting us on blast. So I'm not going to respond to it.
That's a different situation that doesn't even involve them. Like, I don't understand why Evander Kane is coming out and speaking on it. I know where Kane's coming from. I get what Kane's saying, because Kane is a player that I feel like honestly probably would do that.
Yeah.
But like, and no disrespect to Kane, but like, it's none of your business. I don't want to say it's none of your business, but it's a different situation.
That's the thing. Like, anything that involves like Toronto, like, oh, did you see that? Or like, that doesn't really involve us. I don't know why I got to talk about it. And then
that's the media. That's the media trying to bring Toronto into everything.
And I get the media's trying to do their job, but at a certain point, like I want to talk about our team. I want to talk about like what's next for us. I don't want to talk about other teams out there.
Yeah, I agree. I don't see where. I mean, Kane can say whatever the hell he wants, but like, I don't see where his opinion matters. To be honest,
I don't. And then the fact that Sheldon Keefe, after everything happens, like, oh, that him hitting the head, oh, that was inappropriate. That was an appropriate response. I think, like, I'll give Rielly some credit. Rielly has not been an offender at all. He's been a Lady Byng he's gotten Lady Byng votes in the past. I think the response, he should have responded, yes, but he responded the wrong way.
I would like to hear what his thoughts are. Like, I would like to hear him speak on it, because I feel like a part of it might have been too is that, like, it's emotion. You're in the moment, you're pissed off that you lost. I feel like maybe that plays a role.
Yeah, probably.
But like, still, it doesn't make it justified. I would like to hear what he was thinking in that moment.
And even some of the Sens players were split on it, because Pinto said, quote, that was hilarious. Pinto said that was hilarious. Norris said it was funny, but I don't think I would like that if it happened to us.
Oh, no. Absolutely not.
So, and then players have differing opinions on it, but at the end of the day, the moral of the story is you cannot target the head. Like, if Rielly jabbed at him and offered and like give him an opportunity to drop the gloves, then I think we're not talking about a suspension.
Yeah, I agree. Now, LeBlanc, I have a question for you. What do you have to say about all the Leaf fans in your comments right now? And I know, I'm going to be honest, some of the videos that you have made, you may have been jabbing at them a little bit. You can't deny that. You may have been trolling a little bit, but what are your thoughts on the over hundreds of comments you've seen on your videos?
They're all the same. They're all NPCs. Like, I mean, there's nothing creative anymore. Like, all the comments were, oh, standings check. We're making playoffs. You're not. And, like, there's nothing creative anymore. Like, I would prefer a more creative comment section, like I used to get. But all the Leaf fans who have been DMing me and have been in my comments just saying, "Oh, you don't know hockey. You don't know anything." It's going to be a 2-game suspension. It's going to be a fine. I mean, it's going to be really alarming when. And my prediction is Rielly gets 5 to 6 games. That's my prediction. On Twitter and X, Twitter such X, they're going to go bananas, and it's going to be hilarious.
Yeah, I honestly cannot wait for the suspension to come out. I kind of hope that while we're recording this, it gets announced.
It comes
I'm going to
out,
be
yeah.
checking my phone a lot to see if it gets announced. I'm assuming, though, it won't be till about, like,
Till
right
like Leafs
before
game
time.
till probably like 6 o'clock. That's what I assume.
Right before game time, probably,
Yeah.
is what I imagine. But who knows? Any final thoughts on the Morgan Rielly suspension, Ridley Gregg thing? What are your final thoughts?
Final thoughts are
Ridley Gregg MVP.
Ridley Gregg MVP. But the one comment I will say, the one comment I dig see a lot, not on just like on like Instagram and like Reddit forums, it's like, oh, Greg's not gonna do that again now that happened. I think Greg's gonna do it again. He's a pest, and this is what pests do. They do anything to get under your skin. They do anything to piss you off. This is what his job is. He's basically a young Brad Marchand. Not on the level of Brad Marchand yet, but he's a younger, like Brad Marchand type player.
Yeah. Yeah, he is. And I've liked Gregg this year. I think Gregg's been a productive rookie. He plays that style where it's like, yeah, he can score, he can make plays, but he's also physical. He gets in players' heads. He reminds me a little bit of Travis Konechny. Not gonna lie, as a Flyers fan reference.
Gregg's also very good, very responsible defensively. He's rocking with like a plus 19 this year.
Same with Konechny. So yeah, I'd say yeah. Very good comparison. But yeah, moving on now from the Gregg and the Rielly situation, even though that's the biggest news that we've seen. I don't believe there's been a whole lot of news this week. There was a report today, though, that the Flames and the Devils were in serious talks with Jacob Markstrom. Now, we know the Devils are going to try and get a goalie at some point, and even Jack Hughes said in a post-game thing last night when they beat the Kraken 3-1, he said, we get the saves, it's easier to win. So, I mean, there's no denying it that they're going to be looking for a goalie. So, although the trade died, the two clubs were in agreement on a package. The New Jersey Devils reportedly ready to make Alex Holtz a part of the discussion. Sarah Valley reported today that Calgary did ask Markstrom if he'd be willing to move his no movement clause, and he did approve. So, there is a good chance that by the time we record our next episode, we may come back to this. There may be an update on this, and Markstrom may be a Devil. So another report from Elliot Friedman said that he believed the issue between the two teams was the retaining salary. Now, Markstrom has $6 million in cap space. The Devils, I don't believe, have $6 million in cap space. So obviously Calgary would have to retain a little bit, but that was obviously probably one of the issues that was involved. It is unclear if the two teams will go out after this deal again, but it was made clear that Markstrom would accept a trade to Jersey. The Devils were also reportedly interested in Merzlikins, per Kevin Weeks. So, LeBlanc, what are your thoughts on the Devils potentially acquiring Jacob Markstrom?
It's an upgrade over Vitek Vanacek, I will say that. But Markstrom has $6 million for the next 2 seasons. I'm pretty sure it's not next year's year. I think it's the following year. So he has this year, then 2 more years. I think, Markstrom's got to be, he's 32 now? He's got to be up there in age. He's in his early to mid 30s, I'm pretty sure. So that's the time goalies start to regress. So if you're taking on Markstrom, yes, you get an immediate upgrade, but having that cap hit for the next 2 seasons, the Devils may have dodged a bullet. I really do like Markstrom, but the Devils may have dodged a bullet, especially when you saw guys like apparently Alexander Holtz was a part of the deal. There were multiple pieces going back to Calgary, so I don't know. I think it's an upgrade for the Devils, but I think in the long run it might hurt them. But in the short term, it's immediate upgrade right now. And
yeah, I think sorry. You look at the overall Devils situation right now in the standings. The odds are they're not going to make it. There's actually not a really good chance they're going to make it unless they go on a really hot streak here. They are currently outside of a wild card spot by 4 points. Now, understandably, they're chasing Detroit and Toronto for those wild card spots, and it's going to be hard, especially too with the Islanders right up there with them, the Penguins and Capitals not that far behind, and then two, you got to knock out either Detroit or Toronto. Two teams that are well, most Detroit, Toronto's been but they're two teams that are not going to be easy outs in this year's playoffs.
Yeah.
So definitely, you do think that maybe you want to do that, but that's only if we're 100% confident we're going to make the playoffs. Because if you do that and you have this cap hit next year, this could bite them in the ass. So that's something that I've been thinking about there.
So the saving grace for the Devils is that they have one of the easiest ending schedules of the year. They have one of the easiest schedules in the post-deadline stretch. So
right. And that could be what gets them into it.
Yes. So I think the Devils do have a shot at playoffs, but they need to I know they're injured to hell right now, but they need to start winning games. And if they get a goal, even if they get a Merzlikins, who I think might be actually way worse long term, but they get another goalie and they can go on a little bit of a run, they could definitely snag a spot from Detroit or Toronto.
I think that's not the only thing they would want to. Maybe they want a top 4 defenseman because Dougie Hamilton's injured. That's something else I could see with the Devils.
For sure.
But I think definitely we could hear about this again soon. If Markstrom said that, he wants to go to New Jersey, I think they're going to work something out that gets...
You know what you do? You call up San Jose. Listen, I know you're bad. I'll throw in some draft picks if you take on these 2 years of retention.
Yeah, I think that's not a bad idea. And I think San Jose, if you're Mike Grier, I'd be completely open to that. If my Coyotes were in the same situation right now they've been in previous years, then I'd be saying that for the Yotes. Like they 100% need to, and you could get a second or a third round pick for it potentially, or maybe even a player. Like honestly, who knows? So moving on now, we got some international news. So Russia and Belarus are banned from 24-25 international play. This includes the World Juniors, Helinka Gretzky, I think some other things. It doesn't. It's not 100% certain that they're going to be out of the 2026 Olympics, but we will find out in May of next year if that's going to happen. So LeBlanc, what are your thoughts on this?
I have an unpopular opinion on this. I believe that they shouldn't punish, especially when it's comes to World Juniors and the Helinka and Gretzky Cup. Those are for kids, teenagers. They shouldn't be punishing teenagers for their own country's fault. I get the Russia Ukraine thing's a whole different topic that I'm not gonna touch it with a 10-foot pole. But I think
I don't even know enough about it to really go into it, to be honest.
Punishing youth for someone else's wrongdoing, I feel is just the wrong move. And you're it doesn't help grow. I know Russia and Belarus are hockey-centric countries, but it diminishes the growth of the game in said countries, or stalls growth of the game in said countries as well.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say it is what it is. It's unfortunate, but I agree. And it's not the players' faults. It's not the teenagers' faults. I don't view it as that, because if that were the case, well then we should ban Canada because they did the sexual assault. Now I'm not saying target you, LeBlanc, but if that's how we're basing it off of, ban Canada for the sexual assaults.
Yeah, no.
And ban the U.S. for sending, or just ban Israel. I made a tweet yesterday. It was satire, but it wasn't at the same time. I said ban Canada for the sexual assaults, ban the U.S. because Joe Biden's their president, ban Sweden because I don't like their flag, and ban Czechia because they were mean to me 2 years ago. It's not the players' faults. The players aren't. If the players are actively coming out and saying, "Oh yeah, we support the war," then it's a different story. But it's not the players' faults. But again, it is what it is. We can't control it. It's unfortunate though. We can't see Matvei Michkov in the World Juniors.
Yeah. There's actually a quote here from Kaprizov. It says, "To think I may never get to play again and some of my friends from Russia may never get to. It just doesn't seem fair. I guess I'll watch it. I guess I'll watch on TV.
I believe though, aren't they participating in their own like Olympic thing though?
So Russia's been banned from the not banned. They've been like barred from the Olympics since like 2018, I believe, because they were caught doping, and so they've been
That's not
playing under
surprising, but
the Olympic athletes from Russia, which basically just like it's Russia, but it doesn't go to Russia. It's a whole weird thing with the IOC, but yeah, like Russia always international has been like in all sports been like kind of it's like but like I think you shouldn't punish them for wanting to play sport.
yeah, I agree. In other news, there isn't a whole lot unless we get into like the real rumors. Mikhail Sergachev out indefinitely with a fracture. Unfortunate, because he came back in his first game, then he gets hurt. That's
Yeah.
really unfortunate. Um, Apart from that, I don't think there isn't a whole lot. Did we cover the Kings hiring DJ Smith?
No, we didn't. Wait, did we? I don't
I
think we did.
I don't really
I
remember.
don't remember us doing that, but
February 5th. Did we
listen,
record before then? Who knows?
no, I honestly thought when he first got hired, I'm like, but now, I think it'll be good for DJ because DJ is a coach who needs that assistant experience. He's shouldn't be a head coach, but I think he'll be a pretty good assistant for the LA Kings.
Yeah, he was. For those who don't know, we didn't have a podcast when he was a coach, but if we did, you would know that LeBlanc does not like DJ Smith. But I think I definitely agree with you. I think he needs the assistant experience. He's a defensive coach too, so I think this definitely helps. And I think LA's been pretty good since he's come in. So
Yeah, I mean they're undefeated since he's been there. So
yeah, so let's hope that continues. That's all I got for news, unless you want to like get into rumors and stuff. But really, there isn't a whole lot of
we
concrete
could
things.
get into some rumors. I don't hate it. I don't.
Okay. So I have a few rumors pulled up here. These are from a few days ago, but they should be relevant still. The Oilers reportedly have their eyes on Jake Gensel. Not the only team. Pens are prepared to see how the next month plays out. So, with Jake Gensel, he's been in rumors a little bit. If the Penguins are out of a playoff spot by March 1st, do you trade Jake Gensel?
Yes, because Gensel has declined both extension offers from the Penguins.
That was not true.
Oh, it's not true. Never mind.
That was false rumors.
Okay, I just misinformation then. I think trading Gensel is the right move for the Penguins if you fall out of the race. If you're still in the race, though, you keep him.
Yeah. I think he's 28, 29?
He's 29.
29. So, you sign him for 8 years, because that's probably what you're going to sign him for.
Yeah.
Realistically, like I'm not, like he may sign for a 5-year bridge deal, but like realistically, if you sign him for 8 years, that will take you until he is 37. And this is a decision too for Jake Gensel. Do you view the Penguins being a Stanley Cup team in 8 years?
I don't. I think Pittsburgh in 8 years is going to be, when Crosby leaves, it's going to be all, I don't know. I got a buddy who's a Pittsburgh fan. He's like, you know what? I know the cup window's closed. I'm just enjoying the small things right now before we head into the rebuild.
Yeah, let's be honest. They're probably going to be around the same where they are for another maybe 1 to 2 more years,
Yeah,
and then
when Crosby retires, it's gonna like it's gonna.
Yeah, but we say that, and then all of a sudden, and then they'll be good because they'll get someone.
They'll probably get a first overall pick and draft Gavin McKenna.
Imagine if they get Celebrini this year and they miss the playoffs and they get those like 14-1 odds.
The NHL community will be livid.
I will be livid. The Flyers community will be. Oh my god, I can only imagine. But I mean, like with this though, this could be a smart move for Pittsburgh. Trading Gensel, you could get plenty of assets for Gensel. Mm-hmm. You could get a boatload. Realistically, he's even with like Elias Lindholm and Sean Monahan, the guys who have already been traded, thrown in, he's probably the best player out there.
He's the best winger on the market for sure.
Yeah. So I would view that, and you could get a whole lot for him too. You could get a first round pick, and especially too, like if the Penguins are going to miss the playoffs this year for a second straight season, and they do get another top 16 draft pick, add that in with last year's, you get another pick from the Gensel pick. That's 3 solid prospects right there, added to your weak system.
Yeah.
So I don't mind you trading him, but I completely understand why you wouldn't if you're still in the race.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends on how February is going to be. February is a massive month for the Penguins.
Yeah, because if the Penguins have about games in hand on all the teams in front of them.
I believe so. Yeah.
But I've always said this: games in hand matter. They only matter though if you win those games.
Yeah. So I agree with that. So moving on now. There have been a lot of noise about the Arizona Coyotes. It will be a little bit more clarity in a couple of weeks, which is what we've heard the last couple of weeks. So I really have no idea when we're going to hear the final news about this Coyotes. But it looks like they're looking at this plot of land in Phoenix that they're going to build an arena in. But honestly, I don't really understand it. I'm a Coyotes fan. I'm a Flyers fan at heart, but I'm also a Coyotes fan. I watched both of them play last night. So, like, I realistically, like, they have 2 more years left in Mullet. They have at the end of this year, they have an option to extend for next year, which I'm imagining they're going to extend for next year. That's probably what's going to happen.
Is that option? Is that like venue and club have to accept, or is it just the club?
I believe it's the club.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure. I don't know all the details and logistics of it off the top of my head.
I mean, I don't think Mullet would kick them out. I mean, they bring in steady enough revenue to the arena, so.
No, I don't think they would, but I think when the deal expires, I think Mullet's gonna be like, all right, this was temporary. You can't be here more than 3 years. Because I believe that's how long they've been there. They came in 22, 23.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be 2 years after this. 3 years I think is fine. But if they get that plot of land in, say, April of this year, how the hell are you going to build an arena in like a year and a half?
Very poorly. Very, very poorly. You need.
Yes, I don't. That is what I don't understand from this. I don't understand how you're going to build an arena in a year and a half. Like I don't arena building takes time, and especially too like you know that because the Sens have been in rumors with building an arena for forever, and they haven't even started building it yet.
No, because they don't. That's a whole different thing because they don't have a. They have a lease to agree on the plot of land that's at LeBreton Flats.
Yeah, but like,
but there's no deal. It says it's coming, but there's no agreement in place because LeBreton Flats is government land. It's owned by the government of Canada.
Right. So going back to the Coyotes with it. Sorry to interrupt you, but going back to the Coyotes, they have had a history of doing things poorly.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to tell me that they're going to build a state-of-the-art 15,000 plus seat arena in a year and a half, and they're going to do it right? I don't personally see that going their way. Now, I'm a Coyotes fan, and I would love to say that Morello and all them have done a great job. If they'd done a great job, we would have gotten freaking Tempe. They did, and here's the thing with that too. A lot of people don't realize with Tempe, it's not just the fact that they got voted out and that people said no. The Coyotes didn't work hard enough to get the people's wins. They spent $2 million. That sounds like a lot. $2 million to try and flip the people's minds and make them say yes. The opposing side spent, I think, $48 million freaking dollars.
Yeah.
Like that. Like you. I'm sorry. It makes me mad. You don't deserve it.
I'm just gonna interrupt you here. The thing about the Coyotes is that, like you said, everything's been done poorly. And the thing is, I think to get an arena at the plot, Alex Morello's gonna have to take it out of his own pocket. There's no because I don't mean to like put a little jab in here, but the people of Tempe would rather have a landfill be a landfill than rather build a whole entertainment district.
And I think like all of it too. I think it's Morello. I think it's the owner. I think the owner is the problem because I watched a lot of their board meetings because I watched a lot of their board meetings. A lot of people have said, "Oh yeah, we want the Coyotes. We would love to have a Coyotes team here." They've said they would love to have the Coyotes in Tempe or in Phoenix or in another place. I think it's Morello. I think it's Morello because he's sketchy with his casinos. He's done everything so poorly, and that's the other issue too. It's like no other owner in Arizona I think is going to want to take it over. There's the guy in Salt Lake City who wants to take it over, which at this point,
Ryan Smith is loaded. Like that
yes,
dude. That dude is like uber rich. Like it's him. It's Jeff Bezos. Then it's him. Like I mean, it's
yeah, and honestly, it would suck for them to move out of Arizona, but I think they're due. As a Coyotes fan, I honestly just think I just want to get it over with. I'm sick and tired of reading rumors.
The NHL Board of Governors needs to go to Gary Bettman and just put their foot down. Like, hey, this is not working. It's been years of this, multiple owners. This is not working. We need a solution. And Morello has told the NHL, "Oh, I'll get it done. I'll get it done." It's kind of like when you're at school and you had a big project, but you forgot about it for like the last week. Like, oh, I'll get it done. No worry, I'll get it done. I'll get it done. And then you keep asking for an extension on it.
Yeah, you just keep delaying it more or less.
Morello is from. I'm pretty sure he's from Arizona. Like he's Arizona based. That's why he's so close. He got them in the first place. But I think if Ryan Smith offers you money for that team, and Ryan Smith also stated he will build an arena with his own money in Salt Lake City.
And he can. And he would do it right.
He would do it right. And I feel like the Coyotes I know the NHL doesn't want to lose that Phoenix market, but you're talking about building the arena out in like Sarasota, Scottsdale, like places that aren't even near Phoenix's downtown core. Like they played in Glendale for a long time, and Glendale doesn't draw.
It doesn't.
If they can't get an arena in like downtown Phoenix, I don't think it's feasible.
Yeah, and to wrap things up with my response, just being honest, like a lot of it's just like all not ideal, and I feel like, and I'm starting to agree with a lot of the trolls and a lot of the people who say that they need to get the hell out of Arizona. I would love for them to stay in Arizona, but at this point, I think they're due. Like they've had enough time to figure things out, and like there's effects of poor team play, the team not being good, shitty general managers, shitty owners, no arenas, and I think the arena is like I feel like now we have a great GM. Armstrong, I think, has done a really good job at building this team. This team's a lot closer than it was 3 years ago. Absolutely. Yes. Like this year, even though like now they're going to be sellers at this year's deadline, they're not going to make the playoffs. They look a lot better than they have in previous years. Oh. LeBlanc, hello? Sorry about that, guys. LeBlanc's power went out, so that's fun. But he's back. He's okay. He's safe. But just wrapping up what I was saying with the Coyotes, I think a lot of factors have played into it where it was poor team play, crappy owners, crappy general managers, and arena problems. And I honestly think that those four things, I think hockey can work in Arizona, but I think that the sketchy ownership, poor team play, all play into the factors that I don't think other places want them in Arizona. I think that it's finally maybe time to just move on.
Yeah, I'm going to give one more thing about the Coyotes. Because if you don't know their history, the Coyotes, when they first came to Phoenix, they played at what is now known as Talking Stick Resort Arena, where the Phoenix Suns play. And when they played there, they had a little bit of team success as well, and they drew pretty good. Ever since they got kicked out of the arena, they haven't been able to draw. And the team's gotten worse. And you look at the team, the last time this team was really good, like and could draw, was 2012.
It's 12 years ago. And it's going to be unfortunate that when this team leaves and they're out of this rebuild, they're going to be pretty damn good.
They will. They're going to be a decent playoff team
in at least 2 more years. Maybe even next year.
Maybe.
Who knows? But yeah, that's all we're going to say on that. It's a very sensitive topic for me. I apologize for going on for as long as I did. Let's move on. A few more rumors. We're going to go through these very quickly.
For sure.
The Maple Leafs and Canucks are two teams that are linked to Rasmus Ristolainen. Dallas is in there as well. Philly is willing to retain on that, but at a price. I think it's pretty humorous that they're going after Ristolainen.
It gives me the giggles. So it gives.
Yeah, I would get more into that, but we're trying to move on here. The Sabres are not actively trying to move Casey Middlestat, but multiple teams say Buffalo is listening, and he does prefer to stay. So when you're looking at Buffalo, he's probably the biggest option to move. So it's obvious they move him. Nick Robertson's name has come up into trade chatter as a piece that the Maple Leafs are willing to move. So if they want to make a move for a bigger asset, Nick Robertson could be a guy that gets moved the other way.
He's not that high.
Riley Smith's name is also out there too. The Penguins could look to move him and use his money and add another forward potentially. And then finally, the Canucks are in contract talks with Phil Kessel. So we'll see where that goes. But yeah, those are the rumors that I thought were relevant and we will talk about. So moving on now, we have some mock trades that that the viewers submitted through our Instagram story. So if you don't follow the Nordblock podcast, it's at Nordblock Pod. Make sure to go check it out. We post plenty of content on there. So I posted a thing saying drop some mock trades and we'll talk about them. So here are some of the responses that we got. So this one comes from Zachary Young, and it is Chris Tanev, 50% retained, and Blake Coleman from the Calgary Flames in exchange for Nick Robertson from the Toronto Maple Leafs, a 2024 first, a 2024 third, and Topi Niemela. I think I'm saying that right.
Topi Niemela.
Niemela. What are your thoughts on that, LeBlanc? I gotta plug in my computer.
So it was Tanev retained.
Yes.
And Coleman.
Yes.
I think the value's there. I just don't think. I think Coleman makes $5 million for the next 2 years.
It's a lot of money. It
is a lot of money. I don't think the Leafs have that much cap space. I think the value's there, especially if you're adding in Coleman. But I think you got to add in another asset because I think Nick Robertson isn't worth what Leaf fans think he's worth. So you may have to add in another prospect there. You probably add in a guy like Nick Abruzzi. Maybe you can add him in there, and then I think it's a done deal. Especially if
if you do Tanev 50% retained for Robertson in our first, I think that's pretty good.
That's pretty good, but you're adding in Coleman there, and that means the Flames have to give up more, and the Flames have to retain on that as well.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think
it's a decent offer. Again, I'll give that mock trade a 7.5 out of 10. I think it's a very good mock trade. I'll give Zachary that.
This next one, then. Oh, actually, sorry. I'll give my rating. I give him a 7 out of 10. I think it's not a bad mock trade, but definitely it's a good starter.
Yeah, it is.
Trade, I guess, a starting deal. That's it feels like what a GM would make to start off an offer or something like that, if that makes sense. So Holtby _Eller _7020 said this. Kuznetsov for Zegras. And this was before Kuznetsov got put into the player safety. Or not player safety, player assistance.
Caps say yes, Ducks say no.
Yeah, I would think so too. Because Kuznetsov is old and Zegras is young, even though he's not playing well. So I think that honestly,
a straight swap doesn't really make much sense. I think the Caps have to add on that, especially if Kuznetsov is in the assistance program. And like we said before, we posed this, it wasn't a part of that. But I think the value does go a little bit more down. I feel like the Caps would have to add some more.
Yeah, I agree. This next one comes from our boy Trevor Hebert.
My rating, I'll give that mock trade. I'll be honest, a 3.5.
Yeah, I'm gonna give that a 4. This next one then comes from our boy Trevor Hebert 03.
Oh no.
He said, Trevor, so prepare for some bullshit. He said Robbie Fabry to Edmonton for a third, which actually is not that bad.
It's not terrible. I think it's fair actually.
I think both teams would say yes. I think Edmonton's getting a solid middle 6 forward for essentially not a lot, or a bottom 6 forward for not a lot. So
I think that's a good trade. I think I'll give that a 9 out of 10. And I think Yeah, and I know Trevor. I know Trevor is a known Robbie Fabry hater.
Yeah, so that makes a lot of sense. This next one then comes from. Oh, sorry, I'll give it a 9 out of 10 too. This next one comes from Jacob_Canes. I'm assuming he means Bergeron and not Bergeron. He said Chikrin for Bergeron and a third.
Sens say no.
I think the Sens say no as well. Not enough for Chikrin because even when they traded for him from Arizona, they gave up a first.
They gave up a first and two. It was a first and 2 seconds.
I think so.
This is for the Sens. The Sens aren't going to trade Chikrin if they're going to get pennies on the dollar for him. And like I think they've Chikrin also said that the rumor that came out wasn't true. I saying how he loves it in Ottawa and he wants to stay, but that could be PR. But they're not going to trade Chikrin unless they're blown away, and I think this does not blow anybody away.
I agree.
That trade's a 3 out of 10.
I'm gonna give that like a 2 out of 10. It's not too enticing. This next one comes from Judah Tippett. He says Markstrom and Hannafin to the Red Wings for Axel Sandin Pellikka and a third-round pick in 2024 to the Flames. I think you're going to need to give up more just by saying it from the start.
I like the idea of Markstrom going to the Red Wings. I think that is a very ideal pairing. I think the return, though, is very subpar. ASP, though, is nasty. I really do like his game. I've liked his game since before he got drafted. You can't get both those guys and then expect to not give up a first-round pick.
Yeah, I don't think that's enough. Personally,
I like the idea. I think he has a right idea, but I think just the value's not there yet. I'm gonna give it a 5.
I'm gonna give it a 5.5 out of 10. Actually, no. I'm gonna give it a 4.5 out of 10.
Yeah. I like the idea he's going for, but I think he doesn't have the value right yet. But
yeah. And then the last one that I have here is from Aiden is Moritz. It's probably just a Rielly Denault knockoff. If it's not, I'm sorry. But he said Chris Tanev to Winnipeg for Logan Stanley and a first-round pick.
Decent. I think the Flames get more, but it's a very good offer.
Yeah.
The Flames want a first-round pick for Tanev and a NHL player or a good prospect, and Logan Stanley is an NHL player.
He's not...
he's
an NHL player.
I mean, I think Stanley in a new environment could probably be decent.
Maybe some guys need to change scenery. That's it.
And I feel like this trade is probably good enough to get Tanev to Winnipeg, and I'm gonna give it 9.5 out of 10. I think that's probably one of the better mock trades we got today.
I'll give it an 8.5 out of 10, and that is it. That is all the ones I got.
Yeah.
So not too bad there. I'm sure we'll do this again and we'll have more.
Yeah, probably post more, yeah.
All right, so we'll move into the last thing we're going to talk about here. It is the state of the Central Division heading into the trade deadline. So obviously we are about a month out from the trade deadline still, and obviously we have the Central and we have the Pacific that we still got to talk. Or wait, is it the Central and the Metro?
Central and the Metro, yeah. We did the Atlantic last week.
Metro. Yeah, so the Metro that we got to talk about. So starting off here with the Arizona Coyotes, they are currently 7th in the Central Division with 50 points. Sellers.
Massive sellers. Conservatively sell.
I think that you're at the stage right now. We're going to talk about them as a team, by the way. I know we wanted to arrange stuff. We're going to talk about them as a team. With Arizona, I think that you passively sell. You take on maybe short-term bad contracts.
Yeah, but
apart from that, not a whole lot. Maybe you see if the market's there for Ingram, get Matt Dumba out of there, shoot him to the moon.
Zucker
could get some offers too. I think that's it though.
Yeah, because I see a guy like O'Brien's not going to get any offers. You're not going to trade Dursey. Josh Brown's not going to get anything on the market. Yeah. Oh my God, this defense core is mid as hell. I'm sorry. I'm just looking over the roster now.
No, it's okay. I saw it all last night. It was not that fun. Matt Dumba scored though. It was really weird to experience that.
Yeah, Matt, just trade out the UFAs. That's really about it.
Yeah. So I think you honestly stay pat conservative. Look and see if there's a deal there for Vijmelka or Ingram. Apart from that, though, don't do much. Chicago. Chicago is 8th in the Central Division, and they have 31 points. I think you sell as much as you can.
Do you have anything to sell, though? Because the best player I see on this list that is a UFA
Tyler Johnson.
Is Tyler Johnson, yeah.
Yeah, I think Johnson's the biggest guy they're going to try and move. Mrazek they're going to keep because they re-signed him, so he's probably going to stay. Connor Murphy, Colin Blackwell, like depth players, but apart from that,
I mean, I don't see him trading any young guys. Like Alex Vlasic could get
absolutely
some interest, but I don't think you're going to trade him out. I would say Mrazek might get offers, but he just got extended, so that's not happening.
Yeah, so sell, but apart from that, you can't do much.
So try and flip Nikita Zaitsev.
Get him to Ottawa. Anyways, next up, you got the Colorado Avalanche. They are 2nd in the Metropolitan Division.
Buy!
With 68 points. So what the block said, you buy.
You just take your wallet out, you slam it on the table. You just say,
I want this.
Yeah, I want. Yeah. Like, hey, I need it now.
Yeah. So I haven't seen them interested in a lot of players, but I think you definitely want to buy in, look for the right pieces. Maybe a backup goalie.
Goalie, center. Maybe you can get like a depth winger, like
depth winger potentially.
Yeah. The defense. I heard rumors about Bowen Byram being made available for trade if they get a big piece, but
if it's big, like
I can't see any player right now on the market that gets Bowen Byram, unless somehow the Avs like out of left field trade for like Soros.
That's a possibility, but I don't think that happens. Yeah, you buy in if you're Colorado. Next up, then, the Dallas Stars. They are 1st in the Central Division with 70 points.
Buy!
Yep, just let LeBlanc get that out of the way. Again, another team that I haven't seen a whole lot of interest in. You want to look for defensemen, maybe a top 4 guy, potentially a depth winger.
Yeah, like their center core, I think is perfect. Like not perfect, it's good. But their wingers especially in their bottom. Their wingers need some work. That's really about it.
Yeah. I think you need the perfect depth players.
Yes, and then probably like a low key defensive player, like a good second or third pairing guy.
Yeah, I agree with that. Next up, then I think it's the Minnesota Wild. The Wild are currently 6th in the Central with 53 points. I don't really know what Minnesota does. They don't have a lot of options.
Minnesota is going to stand pat, I feel. I don't think they're going to make any moves. They don't. The only UFA they could really sell is Brandon Duhaime. And Brandon Duhaime would be a good depth winger for a lot of teams out there. And Connor Dwyer, I don't think they can sell him. Goligoski could maybe get some. I don't know about that, actually. Don't take that back. Bogosian, I don't know. And
Pat Maroon, I've seen.
I think Fleury might get traded, though.
Fleury's been in talks. The Oilers were, into him, but the Oilers were in previous years. So we'll find out what happens there. But obviously, I think Minnesota probably stays pat. Depending on how this month goes, though, if they have a really good month, they could be back in the playoff race.
Yes, and that's...
So it all depends.
It does depend. Yes, you're right.
They're one of those teams that, you gotta wait till it's, you gotta wait till, pretty much right up at the deadline to find out what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of teams like that this year, though. It's not just the Wild. There's a lot of teams this year. Next up, then, the Nashville Predators. They are currently 5th in the Central Division with 56 points. I think they stay pat as well. They're in a really strange spot. They're, competing, but they're not at the same time.
They're in no man's land, really. They're not
more or less.
They're not good enough to compete. They're not bad enough to tank. So you got to pick. I think Nashville. You pick one. Are you going to go tank or are you going to go compete, or you just stand pat, like you said?
Yeah. So it depends. I think that I mean, Saros' name's going to be out there. It's not like 100% they're going to trade him, but his name's going to be out there.
Yakov Treading could get some interest there. Excuse me.
Brennan potentially. Apart from that, I can't think of a lot of other
Tyson
names.
Barry.
Barry? Yeah, Barry. Barry could be a guy that gets moved.
Barry.
That's about it.
And then I don't like if they really want to sell, then Lankinen might be available for a team that needs a backup. But other than that, I don't really think so.
Yeah, I don't know. Next up, then, the St. Louis Blues. The Blues are currently 4th in the Central Division for 58 points. Let's be honest, they've been on a heater. I don't think they're gonna buy, but they've been on a heater.
They may be like conservative buyers, like they'll buy low.
Because they did fire their coach. I feel like they don't want to necessarily like heavily buy in. They don't want to waste draft picks.
There's also rumors now that the Blues are looking to trade Buchnevich and cash in before they got to extend him.
That could happen.
And Buchnevich has a year left, so in a very weak, and Buchnevich can play center. In a very weak center market, may want to
maybe
sneak Buchnevich in there.
But it depends if they fall out of the race, and they've been pretty damn good lately.
They have been. I have them making playoffs in the last spot, but excuse me, sorry about that. I have making playoffs in the last spot, but yeah, I
don't know. And then finally, the Winnipeg Jets. They are currently 3rd in the Central Division for 67 points. You buy, I guess.
Buy.
Yep. Sounds about right.
Winnipeg has been on a slump. They just got over it, but they were on a slump. You got to buy. You got to trade guys. You got to go all in if you're Winnipeg. Because it's real. Players who go to Winnipeg don't usually stick around.
Yeah. I mean, they got Monahan. I don't feel like they'll do a whole lot after that, though.
I feel like they're going to go for a defenseman. Maybe they bring in Chris Tanev. Maybe they bring in Sean Walker.
Maybe. Who knows?
I think Winnipeg needs to buy, and like you can say, oh, do they need a goalie? They don't. They got Hellebuck, so they're fine. They just need to upgrade the defense, and that's really about it, honestly.
Bolster that blue line a little bit.
Yeah.
That's all I got. That's all I got in regards to talks, news, and all that.
That's all I got too.
So that will conclude episode number 5 of the Northern Block Podcast.
And Morgan Rielly is still not suspended.
No, he's not. Forgot to say that.
We'll find that out after. I think we'll post you'll see it.
Yeah, you'll see it. But regardless, that'll do it for this episode of the podcast. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like. Hit that subscribe button down below. I greatly appreciate it. But anyways, thank you all very much for watching, and we will see you guys in the next podcast.
Ciao.
Adios.